So, well, Zach, you and I, we've known each other for a long time now. Our careers really kicked off at the same time, and we spent a lot of time in corporate America. Now we are off on our own, doing our own thing, which apparently is majorly on the rise. You've since done that with ImpactFi Advisors. I guess, what was the impetus? What was the moment where you thought, I'm now in a place to where I want to do my own thing?
Yeah, it wasn't one specific moment, but I spent 10 years at Fiserv on the new core and enterprise sales team, largely doing the same thing for that 10 years, really aligning bank strategies with Fiserv solutions and then how they weave in with third-party solutions, which was great. I did better than I ever thought I would do, but it came to a point where I just needed a change for a variety of reasons. I didn't feel like I was making a difference anymore. Weighed a number of different options, and then looking back over the past 10 years, I couldn't tell you how many times I told myself, if I put my consultant hat on here, here's what I would do. Or, I would look back on all the consultant-led engagements, which was pretty much every single one there for the last handful of years, and I found myself educating them half the time. So I knew I could get into the consultant game and make a difference and really help out these banks without being attached to one specific large company. So we opened up ImpactFi Advisors on May 15th of this year, that's almost 7 months ago. And it's been amazing to see the before and after of our engagements and really feel as if we're making a legitimate impact with our clients, their clients, and the communities we serve.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a huge surge right now in people doing this, right? And I think when you spent 10, 15, 20 years in an industry and then you shift gears to doing your own thing, as long as you've been like doing right by people along the way, which I know that you have been, and I believe that I was in the same boat. When the time comes that you do your own thing and you put it out there to the universe that you are open for business for whatever service that you're providing, you find that you've got a lot of friends that you've made along the way and people that are willing. Like, it's amazing that people who give you a shot, like that is so, it feels amazing, but it's so critical, right, to do that for the people that who are launching their own thing, right?
Yep. No, you're spot on. I remember when I just announced what I was doing, there was a lot of attention around it, and a lot of people took the time to say nice things and wish us luck. And I actually got a couple business leads from it. You're right. Doing the right thing will eventually come around for you. I'm a big believer in it.
And vice versa, it'll sting you if you don't. People have good memories. People have good memories. Real. So, we met at Fiserv, and, I like to think Fiserv really kind of almost raised me, in my 20s when I started working there. And, I feel like they did a good job of pairing me with people that were more seasoned than I am, more kind of veteran or already earned their stripe status. And, in a lot of ways, did a good job kind of showing me the ropes. Did the Fiserv sales world do that for you as well?
Yeah. And I was very fortunate to really be in a stress-free environment essentially for a couple years. When I first started, I was in the sales associate program at Fiserv, which just think of it as basically an apprenticeship program. So I was going around with the Southeast team, just getting real experience, learning all of our products, all of our processes, all the competitors, really the ins and outs of the deals. So when it was my turn, when a territory finally opened up for me, I was ready to hit the ground running. And without that, really specifically without one or two really involved, really committed mentors, I probably wouldn't be having this discussion with you today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I was in a very similar situation, and people took chances on me, and since we've launched Propagate, same deal. And I'm super grateful for the folks that have invested time and effort into my early career and what we're doing now with Propagate. So a lot of people don't realize when you work at Fiserv, and you have to have an insanely deep knowledge of products and all the different organizations, because Fiserv is really like, for lack of better words, through all the acquisitions over the years, it's like a Frankenstein organization, because they bring in so many different products, and they're good at getting them kind of packaged and on the shelf and, ready to be bundled. That's the superpower of Fiserv, right? Is that you get huge economies of scale when you work with them, when you're buying products. But people don't realize, like, man, it's a lot to learn working there. And you end up really getting huge exposure to a big cross section of the fintech market. And you get pretty familiar with who the winners and the losers are, who the used to be big dogs are, right? Like when you look at the community bank space over the past 5 to 7 years, who would you say have been the two players that have really come out on top or totally reinvented themselves in the market?
On the core front, there's one that particularly stands out, CSI. I remember when I first started, they had the big four, Fiserv, FIS, Jack Henry, and at the time it was, H, Harlan. So that was, and now Finastra. So that was the big four at the time. But really, Finastra's kind of fallen off from a core perspective. So it really turned back into the big three, but now it has come full circle. And now we have a new big four with CSI included. They have really, really killed it over the past decade.
CSI Paducah.
Yeah, CSI was, I hate to say it, I mean, they weren't really relevant nationwide when I first started, and now they have really transformed themselves via acquisitions, and more so just doing the right thing. They have a great reputation of support. They have really thrown in a lot more money into their products to beef up that side of the house, and done a great job. They're up to about almost 500 clients on the core side, and just acquired a few different solutions. They're in the process of integrating that in and really improving. On the digital side, I remember when I first started, I was selling net new mobile banking to banks. So that, I mean, not every bank had mobile banking, which is crazy to think about 10 years ago.
Right.
Mobile deposits, another thing. So, when I think of the surround solutions that are out there, that's where I would say the majority of the innovation has come from in our world. When you think like mobile, crypto, Zelle, real-time payments, now we got tokenized deposit stable coins. That has been where the real innovation and development has come from, not necessarily on the core front.
So like on the core, CSI, I totally agree. They bought
Aperture.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I know they bought Aperture, but the LOS that they bought, John Rigsby's Hawthorne River, that I feel like that's got to be one of the best buys made in the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. I mean, that was a rocket ship, and I'm sure it still is post acquisition. So, like right now, ImpactFi Advisors is your target segment community banks and community institutions.
Yep. So of our 7, they range from de novos to $6.5 billion in assets.
Okay.
Three of those are right around $2 billion. So it's a hodgepodge of clients, but in the grand scheme of things, yes, community banks, and everyone's got a different line in the sand of what makes what's community, what's regional, what's national.
Let me draw you out a little bit on, when we talk about best in class options that are out there. So I think when a lot of organizations come together and they say, okay, we want to offer the best in class experience and we need best in class solutions. But a lot of times best in class solutions are more complex, I think is like just a more simple way to put that, right? They come with a software development kit. Like you need to have engineers that know how to use this. You need people that are stoked on experimenting with those tools, and people who don't want the solution that's like just the thing in the shoebox, right? What type of advice do you have for an organization who wants a best in class experience, but maybe it doesn't have the means to hire engineers and just doesn't have the team to pull off leveraging those?
Well, it might be the worst thing you could do is get one of these high end solutions that is made for customization if you can't sustain it, because then you're just going to have an essentially underutilized system that becomes a problem at the end of the day. So before you get one of these high end, highly flexible systems out there, you need to know, A, can I afford it? Just purely price tag, can I afford it? B, can I maximize ROI with developers or people that know how to write code and write these customizations, and really are fully committed to sustaining this investment of yours. Because if you don't meet those two needs, it's a waste of money, and it's the worst thing that you can do. One of the things we do is we remove the cost barrier for some of these strategic initiatives, so you can shuffle money from one side of the bank to bring on a developer or two, so that you can really take on a perceived risk. We save our clients a fortune, and it's their money. But my hope and my goal is that they reinvest some or all of our savings to really differentiate themselves and ultimately become one of those survivors or thrivers out there during this crazy M&A phase that we're going through.
Kind of a funny question, but posing as a reference for your fintech providers. In my career, I've seen scenarios where the client who are willing to act as a reference for their vendors make themselves almost indispensable for these organizations. Do you find when you come in to negotiate and you partner with these banks and credit unions, when they act as a reference for their vendors, does that create extra leverage for them?
100%. These banks have no idea how much the vendors need references like that, because you could be. I thought I was a pretty good sales guy. Best salespeople are the current clients, no doubt about it. Because bankers trust bankers, and that our industry lives on that. It's a small world. You could derail a whole deal just from having a bad reference, but.
Yep.
I always encourage my clients, both in my past life as well as now, to be very involved and make it truly a bi-directional partnership, not just, hey, you give me the tools I offer to my customers, I pay you money. You need to build relationships on multiple different levels with multiple different people at both organizations to really maximize that partnership. And in turn, you're going to get first row, first right refusal for some of these enhancements. You will help drive the innovation. My bank needs this. My current solution doesn't have this. Guys, I need you here. We need to develop this functionality. Otherwise, we're going to another vendor. You get improved pricing. You get improved support.
And you get roadmap insight too. I've seen
roadmap insight. Yep.
Yeah.
And when something's wrong, and something will go wrong, because none of these providers are perfect. Something goes wrong, you pick up the phone and you call that high-end executive that you built a relationship with, and they'll move mountains for you because they know that you have been there for them, helping them, really develop their business. It goes a long, long ways.
Yeah. And, I think that there's also, there's branding opportunities for people who are trying to grow in their career, right? You get to speak on stage, maybe, with that vendor, right? They want you to come on and talk about how you solved for whatever efficiency opportunity or whatever it may be. So yeah, pose as a reference.
No, there's a ton of direct, tangible value in building those partnerships, and then some of the intangibles like that. Which you can't directly put a value on, but it goes a long ways.
Some bankers are very well versed in the playbook, in the ways. They know how to work it. Yep. But more people should definitely explore it. Okay, my last question for you here. So if a bank looking to kick off a core conversion, right? The nightmare that's been keeping the C-suite up at night, knowing that it's coming, how would you recommend an organization prepares for this, what is often a generational change?
Yeah, it is a huge endeavor. There's no way around that. Conversion is a 4-letter word in our industry, and it's that way for a reason. I mean, it's a big deal. The old statistic is about 2% of banks outside of M&A activity can go through a conversion every year. I think that's a little bit higher now based off of some of the recent activity, but it's still probably about 3 to 4 is what it will be here in a couple of years, I would say. So, 1 in 25 banks, just round numbers sake, will take that challenge head on. And the average lifespan of a core partnership is 17 years. So you're not doing this thing every night or every year for that matter. It's a 3-leg stool at the end of the day. So one, the technology has to make sense. It can't just be some lateral move, because you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
go through a conversion for a lateral move. It just
Mm-hmm.
defies logic. The financials have to make sense. Normally, you're not going to pay more to go through a conversion, just apples to apples.
Sure.
So the financials have to be viable across the whole term, not just out of the gate. And then lastly, is the timing right, which is, maybe the biggest component there, because the other two, there's options out there that check off both of those boxes. Is the bank in a position from a timing standpoint to pull off a full-blown conversion? More often than not, no, for a variety of reasons, whether it's, our operations staff is, shorthanded, or we're, the COO is leaving, or
Yep.
pick any reason, and
You
that
need a
could
long
derail
season
the
of
timing.
stability going into
You
it.
need a long season of stability. You need to have everyone on board across all businesses, so IT, operations, deposits, loans, C-suite, obviously. So you really almost need that perfect storm to all come together. And that's, one of the things that we help these banks figure out. We paint that picture of, are you ready? Here's why you would go through a conversion. But we will paint the picture for them. We will get an understanding of where they are today, where they want to be in 5-10 years. How do we get there? I encourage, instead of a big bang, blow it all up, rip and replace job, I encourage, when possible, a slower migration, as an eased in, take bits and pieces. It de-risks it exponentially. But sometimes you do have to do the full rip and replace, whether it's, a broken relationship with your primary technology partner, or whether they just don't support
Yeah.
you, or whether it's a sunset event, unofficial or official.
Well, you said something
There's
that
reasons.
really stood out to me, in that this happens once every 17 years on a given contract. So what that means is, over the course of somebody's career, if they stay in banking the whole time, most people don't have experience with it, with the core change. Or if they do, it was one time, a long time ago. Without having somebody in your corner aside from the vendor, you're really kind of, in a lot of respects, flying blind out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've got a large chunk of people that have never been through a conversion, don't know the ins and outs of it, don't know why you would go through it, or how, the solutions line up and how you justify it. Then you've got some, the other group of people that have been through one, and they probably still remember the exact date of that conversion, just because it was
Burned into their mind.
singed into their mind. Whether it went badly, or whether it went well, and they still know that it was sleepless nights, a lot of work behind the scenes on top of their day jobs.
Right.
So, that you got both groups of people. Neither of them are, all that pumped up about going through a conversion, but you got to think big picture. Is this the right thing to do for the bank? And sometimes it is.
Hmm.
Um,
What are the signs that your core is maybe not a great fit for you?
I think you got to look at it multiple different ways. You can't just look at the technology, but you've got to look at the partnership. Are they supporting you? Because support does drive conversions, or lack of support drives conversions. There's no question about it, and you've seen it time and time again here the past 5 years.
So people leaving, they tried to do a project, they tried to, experiment with another fintech partner, and the core was slow to engage, respond, lean into it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so I'm like,
Okay.
poor support from the core vendor, the core provider, 100% drives conversions, and you've seen it time and time again over the
Sure.
last 5 years. From a pure functionality standpoint, 90% of these core offerings out there are over 30 years old, and only about 11% of them are true real-time processing solutions. That drives
Sure.
conversions as well.
Mhm.
Banking is tomorrow's age of banking is not going to be in batch mode. People expect everything
Sure.
now from, Amazon and Netflix. They, some of these outside drivers really have transformed banking unintentionally. I worked with a bank in Texas that their number one driver was real time everything,
Not
real
near
time
time,
payments, real time
real time.
processing. Right. You shouldn't be able to get a package from Amazon before that ACH hits.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah,
Defies logic.
buy the Lego set for the birthday party you're going to at noon with your kids, while you're still in bed in the morning, and it shows up on time.
That's right. Real life isn't lived in batch mode. Most people don't understand how most people don't understand how old a lot of this banking technology is. If you compare our industry to, some of the stuff that they're doing in the medical field, it's night and day.
Oh yeah.
Which is it's promising because we are really evolving on the surrounds front, and some of this stuff that they're working on and that is finally coming to fruition is promising. And
absolutely.
we
Open
need
banking and challenger banks, I feel like have really, the banking as a service has really upped the ante on the legacy players.
Oh yeah. I mean, 5-10 years ago, everyone was basically making decisions tied to a core provider. They want everything best of bundle, everything under one umbrella for, easier vendor management and, flat cost, budgetable cost. But now you're seeing that being pulled out. The rug has been pulled out from underneath. A lot of these banks are going with best of breed, but that some of the core solutions are not able to integrate because it's hard to connect old technology to new technology, especially when they're technically competitors. So it's a complicated matter, but it has driven some of these best of breed providers have pushed the envelope with the core providers to ultimately improve the technical landscape. It's been good. It's been nice to see, honestly, because now people are playing. Yeah, it's been really refreshing because now you see a lot more collaboration across companies in the industry, which is
that's great.
Well needed.
We need to do that.
We need it. Because at the end of the day, we're all working at the end of the day, we all need these banks, and we all need to be a little bit better for them. Otherwise, you keep seeing the number of banks dwindle, and then eventually the market will dry up for everyone. So
right. No,
it'll
totally
just
fair.
be bad across all fronts.
Yeah. Well, Zack, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. It's great to reconnect with you. Where can everybody learn about ImpactFi Advisors?
Check us out online, www.impactfiadvisors.com, on LinkedIn. Connect with me personally on LinkedIn. We offer free consultations, so happy to talk through your particular situation so we're not strangers whenever the timing is right. But give us a call. I encourage all banks, whether you use us or someone else, get someone that has been on the other side of the table and knows what a good deal, what the good solutions are, and knows how to differentiate between the sales pitch and reality.
Don't go it alone.
Don't do it alone. There's still always going to be those banks out there that are convinced that, they worked out the greatest deal in the history of deal making. You don't know what a good deal is unless you've been on the other side.
Oh, very fair. Very fair. Awesome. Well, Zack, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. See you, buddy. Hey, thanks for being here. If you or someone else would like to explore coming on the show, fill out a contact form at propagatefintech.com and we can explore some content ideas with you. Also, we are an end-to-end marketing and PR firm only supporting the bank industry. So if you would like to explore going deeper with Propagate, again, feel free to reach out to us and we can explore whatever that you are working on. See you on the next one.